Hey Gears, so we're back. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to take the hinge assembly that we made, and we are going to go ahead, and we can see here that our hinge assembly moves right the way we think it should. We're going to go ahead and put that together on a larger composite assembly. So we're going to go to New, Assembly, we're going to call it B-Box, Demo V3, we'll call it the Screen Cast Demo Box, that's fine. Click OK. So what we're going to do first, just like we did earlier with making the hinge assembly, we're going to go ahead and drop in our default. Everything else is going to be built around our default. So there's our box. That should look pretty much the way we expect it. And what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go to my constraints. I'm going to make it the default. It turns gold. I'm just going to dump it right into our drawing. And now I'm going to grab the hinge assembly. And if I want to just find assembly parts, what I could do is I could do a star.asm. That will bring up just the assemblies. And let's take a look here. Hinge V2 assemble. Is that what we want? Just cancel real quick. Take a look at our windows. Hinge V2 assemble is exactly what we want. So assemble. Hinge V2 assembly. We'll click open. And so now we see we've got our degrees of freedom. And what we want to do is place our hinge onto our box. So one of the first things we could do that makes sense, not real surprising, is line up our holes. So in this case, I'm going to grab that hole and put it on this one. And we can see that it's not super easy to see everything. So I'm going to shift center click to pull it into a screen. It's a little easier to see. I'm actually going to pull it up a little bit. I'm going to grab this hole. I'm going to rotate under and grab that hole. So now we've lost some degrees of movement, which you should see, which is what we want. The next thing we want to be able to do is we'll click the top of the box. We'll rotate around and grab the top of our hinge. And that should be placed pretty successfully there. It says it's fully constrained, which for this part of the hinge is what we want, because that part's not going to move. So we're going to click OK on that. And let's just demo this out real quick and be sure that the other part of our hinge moves just fine, which is what we wanted. And let's take a look. Let's just zoom in on our hinge assembly here. So without a lot of experience building these things, we can see that as this hinge opens, we're going to want to put the remaining part of our box, the front of our box, on the inside of that hinge. So that's good to know because we have to make that part. So I'm going to go over to New. I'm going to go to a part, and we're going to call it B-Box Demo B3. We'll call it the front. Front cover of screen cast. Fine. Click OK. So in this case, the front cover isn't real hard to make. We'll go into our sketch, go into our front plane, and we're going to go ahead and drag out a, let's grab a corner rectangle, just because we're grabbing it from the side. So I'm going to left click and double click and make this a 4 by 4. And again, we don't have to worry if that happens. We just zoom and we're good to go. Now in this case, it's going to be solid, that front. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put some holes for fasteners in there. So let's go do that real quick. So in this case, I'm going to put a center line right there. And we'll put one right up there. Let's measure these. left click, and then center click. So if it's 4x4, 2 would put us in the center. I'm going to put another center line over here. We'll measure those sides. And then center click in the middle. Oops. Left, left, center. Lost our normal. Left, left, center. There we go. Set that at 2 inches. And next we're going to put one. Do we need it? We'll put in one more. Go over here. We want to measure that at 0.25 inches, and then we're going to throw our circles in here. And we want that to be 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. We want it to be a 1/4 inch off center. We'll go ahead and select that, mirror it about this line, and click OK. And some of you guys are probably tuning into the fact that this isn't exactly a 1/4 inch back. The center is a 1/4 inch back, and we might want to make some adjustments as we go. We're going to extrude this now, and we can see here that that's pretty big, far bigger than we want. We're going to make that 1/4 inch thick. So that's our front. Looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and save it. We'll save it again, just to be sure. So now we can go into our assembly, our BeeBox Demo V2. Nope, that's not the one we want. We want BeeBox Demo V3 assembly. There we go. And we're going to add our front. BeeBox Demo V3 front. We'll click open. Then we can see we've got all of our degrees of freedom here, and sometimes it helps just to rotate these things around and put them near the orientation that you know they're going to end up in. So I want this hole. Whoops, didn't grab it. So let's go back into placement. I'm going to grab that hole, and I'm going to shift center click just to kind of move things around. And I want that to go into this hole. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to grab that one and put it into this hole. Then I'm going to grab this face and put it into that face. So we're going to see here, this isn't quite what we wanted because it did a distance. We want it to be coincident. And now that's fully constrained. We'll click OK. However, we still should be able to move this piece because our hinge moves. And this isn't exactly the way we had wanted it. We might want to slide. And part of what's great about this design process is we might have to go back and tweak this a little bit to make it function better for our design. But for here, you can see that we've got this idea of this moving hinge that's going to close our BeeBox, and we're well on our way to finishing our designs.